Okay, I'm going to review another movie now, but this is going to be a little bit different. The movie I'm going to be reviewing to you is a small movie, an independent movie that can be seen just about anywhere. This is a movie that was actually sent to me via a private message here on YouTube, so I'm going to, and since it's available for free viewing on YouTube, I'm going to give you guys a opportunity to watch it before you watch my review if you wish to. If you kind of click on my face right about now, that will take you directly to this movie itself. The movie is called, depending on where you look for it, either Coyote or El Coyote, the last movie. And this is as mentioned, a low-budget, independent drug thriller sort of thing that kind of caught my eye, not just because they sent it to me personally to watch, but also because there's a disclaimer at the very beginning of the movie that says that in respect to the people who made this movie, we are going to release it uncut in its unfinished form, and yeah, so making it seem as if people actually died and stuff in the making of it, which that caught my interest right away. Oh, anyway, El El Coyote as a movie is a is a drug thriller, a low budget drug thriller that seems to be wanting to make a modern day take on the spaghetti western. It has all the ingredients of the spaghetti western. It takes place in a small town where a drifter comes in and then violent things start happening there. The drifter is a guy named El Coyote who has an appropriately ambiguous background. He doesn't talk much, but he can become very violent if the need arises. He he comes into town just kind of drifting through, trying to buy some tequila and cigarettes when he's captured by the corrupt sheriff and left shot and left for dead before rescued by a young boy and his mother. Now, among the many things that this movie does that try to kind of invoke the spaghetti western feel of the movie is to is to induce this plot with a whole bunch of complicated subplots and flashbacks and character motivation things. And the first 15 to 20 minutes of this movie is not very long. It's only about 70 minutes long, including the ending credits and the trailer at the end of the credits of the link that I showed you guys earlier. And we get a kind of a basic sort of like a visual flashback background of this El Coyote guy. We know he used to work for a different drug lord, a rival to the sheriff who lives in who runs this little Mexican border town sort of thing, and we know he participated in some really brutal, violent stuff there, but we don't really get a big sense of who this guy is or what his motivations are of cleaning up the corruption in this small town. Despite the fact that he was shot and left dead by the sheriff. That's another thing. The sheriff in this movie is the brother of another local drug lord named Louise, and also has a superstitious tarot card dealing girlfriend who I would have liked a little bit more about. There's a kind of cool moment at the end there where she's dealing tarot cards as the movie builds to the climax, and it'd be kind of interesting if the movie tried to maybe get a little bit further into the supernatural element. I mean, there are elements of the supernatural with the tarot card dealing girlfriend, also the fact that this El Coyote guy and the drug dealer who he was previously involved with were parts of devil worship. This kind of uses a slight brief kind of supernatural element, which I would like to maybe expand just a little bit more. I think it made a bit a cool twist on the drug thriller thing. Oh, but anyway, as the story progresses, we see the different parties here: the sheriff, his drug dealer, brother, the different parties within and outside the town trying to kind of like double cross each other to try to get on top of the drug trade here. All while El Coyote slowly recovers and starts to kill off the bad guys one by one. And while slowly building a friendship with this young boy who rescued him when he was left for dead. And these are all classic elements of the spaghetti western thing, and they're actually brought into the modern day fairly easily. This is helped, of course, by the fact that this is one of those movie small towns where everybody's at the mercy of the sheriff, and everybody does exactly what he says there's not a whole lot of media, TV, even radio, not a whole lot like that. It's really kind of a self-contained area, which serves the plot, but not entirely realistic in the modern day, I would think. But yeah, anyway, this film is low budget, but it's very professionally shot. There are some kind of troubles with it, like a lot of low budget movies. The sound is really kind of iffy. The musical score can get really blaring and annoying at times, especially in the early scenes in the movie. And sometimes it goes from like a blaring score to nothing, or completely different music back and forth, making the musical transitions between the scenes a little bit choppier. I would like the sound editing to be a little bit better in this movie. And the dialogue, it can be really kind of silly. I mean, this is a movie that was shot in Spanish, that has English subtitles, and the English subtitles in general are okay, but there are quite a few grammatical and a couple spelling mistakes in there, which kind of annoy me because I'm really the guy who gets bugged by that sort of thing. And sometimes, since I don't speak Spanish, I have to rely on the subtitles. I can't even really try to decipher what they're saying in Spanish, which resulted in at least one scene to my mind just being unintentionally hilarious. It's a scene where the sheriff is trying to intimidate and interrogate these two young boys who he suspects of killing one of his underlings, who was of course really killed by El Coyote. And he says things like, we we know what you kids do. You smoke your pot, you listen to that heavy metal, and look what happens. Give me the hot sauce. You can use the hot sauce to torture them. I thought that was hilarious, but I suspect maybe if I could speak Spanish, it might come across as a bit scarier, because the actor who plays the sheriff is really acting his heart out in this movie. He's fairly effective in the part, as is the actor who plays El Coyote. And I suspect maybe the fact that these are subpar subtitles might have been caused my response to the movie to be a bit more humorous than it might have intended. Okay. It's as a movie, as an example of low budget crime movie, it's fairly okay. Nothing spectacular here, nothing really great, nothing distinctive, but it's kind of a low budget modern day spaghetti western designed to show that the filmmakers have the talents. I say it's fairly good. But there's something that hangs over it for me, and I have to talk about right now, and it is a major spoiler. So if you guys haven't seen the movie yet, you can click on my face right now. Again, you can watch the movie, then come back here, and let me talk about the ending here, because really... oh, okay. So, now, if you're still watching, I'm going to assume you've either seen the movie yet, or don't intend to see the movie, so here we go. I mentioned earlier that this movie begins with a scroll that says that they decided to release this movie in its unfinished form due to respect for the filmmakers, implying that people died in the making of it. And indeed, this movie has an ending that comes out of frigging nowhere, where it seems as if there's about to be a big showdown, and then you kind of see the camera goes over here, then moves and sees a whole bunch of guys with AK-47s, like it's supposed to be a drug cartel, just yelling at some people over on this side who are off screen. And Kevin looks at them, they're like members of the film crew, some of the actors or something. It goes back a little bit, then the AK-47 starts shooting at the cast and crew members, and even the cameraman starts running away, and they shot, and the camera falls down. So this is supposed to represent a crew of drug dealers who actually went after it and killed the film crew, assuming that the film crew had money of some sort. I mean, that's what the story goes. And the thing is, this is a lie. I looked it up. There are no reports of an American film crew killed in Mexico, except on one website, a website called beforeitsnews.com, which is a website where literally anybody can set up a story. And the one guy who set up this story is a guy who goes by the name of Steve Kurtz. And the image that they use for Steve Kurtz is an image of Martin Scorsese. So I have to mention that And let me just mention some of these other stories that Steve Kurtz is credited on for this website. They have, so I have the website in this movie right, is panel right here underneath my webcam. It says, two different stories about an American film crew murdered in Mexico. One called Obama to Arm Illegals. Another says real video horrific alien abduction. U.S. national elections cancelled. 2012 elections to be cancelled. And help, family kidnapped by Mexican army. Quite frankly, I don't think this guy is the most trustworthy guy out there. And like I said, I looked at all sorts of different websites. I could find no stories, unless it's here, other than here, about a film crew being murdered in Mexico. And as talented as the filmmakers may be, you do not use a story like this to add spice to the publicity for your movie. That's exploitation. That's... Okay, let me back up a little bit. You could use this sort of thing to try to gain publicity for your movie, but don't do it in such a way that makes it seem as if you're exploiting the sort of thing that happens, as you mentioned all the time, especially if you want to make the point. The point you want to make, as spelled out clearly in your opening scroll, is to get America to legalize drugs. If you can't make the point about that in the movie itself, you don't add something like this to do that. That's not right. That's totally tasteless and very, very unethical, I would say. I mean, people have spread false movies about things before in terms of publicity. Take like the Blair Witch Project, for instance. That's fine. I mean, that's kind of part of the thing. The Blair Witch had a sort of urban legend feel going around it, and it was a found footage movie, so the making of the movie itself lent itself to that sort of story. But you can't just make the entire movie in this conventional, cool, stylized spaghetti western way and then throw the ending into there like that. So okay, maybe if I'm wrong, maybe if there wasn't if this thing did happen in Mexico and the mainstream media didn't cover it, if one of the filmmakers is watching this and wants to link me to a website, something that's not beforeusnews.com detailing this thing, I would like to know about that. I will apologize for it as soon as I can, and as soon as I'm convinced that this isn't a sort of false thing that was made for publicity's sake. But anyway, okay, spoilers are over. Overall, this is an average kind of spaghetti western crime thriller thing. Probably more interested for people who would like kind of low-budget modern takes on spaghetti westerns and thing. Nothing really spectacular or special about this movie, aside from the ending, which I have just finished ranting about. So, if you want to watch this movie, go ahead. I don't really think I would recommend it to many people, except maybe filmmakers who want to learn a little bit about publicity and some of the ethics that go with it. But still, I appreciate the filmmakers for sending it to me. It certainly had an interesting viewing experience and an interesting reviewing experience. So, that's about all I have. The movie is called El Coyote, The Last Movie. Average movie, but has many things in it that are very interesting, and an ending that comes out of nowhere and it's sure to surprise you at any rate.